Hey everyone, welcome back to Crypto Cash. Thank you very much for joining me here. I hope you're having a phenomenal day. Let's take one more look at SUI to round out the week here, kind of see what's going on. We got our local open interest area here. That's a nice little support range. We may see a pivot or a bounce from here, but we're working ourselves into a flag pattern no matter how you look at it. So this is usually a very positive sign, and oftentimes the flags can retrace to the 0.382, 0.5 fib levels, which could put us in the $3 range, the low $3 range. I think that's less likely, but it's still a possibility. We can't rule it out yet. Anyways, what we want to look at here today is, of course, some important stuff, I think, with liquidation to kind of recognize where we're at with that. And we also want to talk a little bit about, key level supports and resistances, because oftentimes when prices are in these kind of ranges, the supports and resistances seem to be more consistent nowadays than these, fib levels, as well as, Elliott wave theory. Those things are kind of more, there's something that you use if you want to feel better. It's like a placebo, for example. But when you have confluence at those areas plus support and resistance, that's when it really matters the most. So I'll try to explain more about that and what that really means, because some people seem to misinterpret how beneficial specific indicators are. And once more, I'm not perfect by any stretch. I've just been trading for a very long time. And in my experience, I've noticed a lot, kind of the trends do tend to change. And right now, manipulation is the foundation of how market makers are working. And they're really good at trapping late longs and late shorts. So take a look here. We can see liquidation a little bit lower below the price between now and 315. That's like the immediate liquidation. There's heavy concentration between 3 and 250. I'm not proposing we see that level yet, because I think that's a long ways away, but it would make sense for us to retest our local range of that $3 area, because there was so much liquidation there and we kind of plateaued for a little while. And I think there's a distinct probability we come back to that low $3 range as a possibility if Bitcoin runs towards 90,000. Okay, a lot of this is based on Bitcoin too. Even though this coin is doing phenomenally well on its own, it is reliant on Bitcoin not pulling back super hard either. Okay, so just know that. And Bitcoin does have some incentive to retrace the 90K range, and if that happens, then this coin will pull back. I'm hoping it doesn't, but I want to just prepare you for the possibility of that in areas of interest if the price does pull back, and then obviously comparably prepare for upside too, because there's a lot more bullish convergence here. There's a lot more reasons where the price is going to go higher. I want you to understand that. Anyways, the whole point of me mentioning this is liquidation delta is super high, and this really implies that we have more bullish buying pressure than selling pressure. Okay, and until that paradigm shifts, we can presume the price will go up or sideways with Bitcoin for the moment. When we look at open interest, we can see there's a tremendous amount of open interest, again, at $3 and $3.40 as a rough estimate. That's like the heaviest concentration here locally. So $3.40 is showing and proving to be a strong support. That's a retest of that local high. Okay, so once more, we had this previous high here at $3.40, came back down to retest. Hypothetically, along at $3.40 would be a smart call. But once more, it's a weekend. I never truly recommend trading on weekends, and if you do, just know that it's inherently more risky to take longs on weekends, just based on the simple fact that we've had 14 out of 16 red weekends so far this year, where Friday closes a certain area, and when Sunday opens, you get that 48-hour lapse. That creates a CME gap in most cases, and that's something you want to be mindful of. Granted, there's no CME gap for this because it's not traded on CME futures, but it's relevant on Bitcoin, and we'll look at that later. Having said that, daily time frame is phenomenally optimistic. We see here we got confluence at 320. That's the local high, as well as a 200-day SMA. So if the price does continue a bit lower, 320 seems like a very logical pivot point for the price action to recover and bounce. We are still over 70 in the RSI, implying you don't want to short this coin. Has a lot of bullish continuation potential. And hypothetically, even if the price were to pull back, you should still keep your long position open, because there's more propensity for the price to go higher than lower based on the significant amount of increased volume. Okay. 4-hour time frame is also very similar here in a lot of ways, where we have broken back down under 70. This does kind of recommend that you do secure profits in a lot of ways. I would too, just in general, based on not being super greedy in this market. This more so applies to leverage trades, not necessarily spot bags, because spot bags are going to be held for longer, and leverage in most cases should be held for shorter periods of time. I know you see people posting online as to how phenomenal they are with super high risk trades that they opened 5 months ago. But the truth is they're getting eaten up on fees. They're probably going to end up trading or closing that trade at a loss, even if it's super in profit, just because that's just that natural fee structure of how leverage works. So anyways, the whole point of that is 4-hour time frame is a good reflection of the short-term potential trend reversal to the downside that may pivot off 340, but I think secondary to that 320 would be that secondary area. And what I'll do is I'll update our fib levels too, and I'll post that playout chart on our Twitter, Telegram, and Discord so you can kind of see it. It's available here if you're not familiar. I provide a lot of good content there that's super relevant. I've been getting good feedback too. I appreciate it, and you can just keep complimenting me by hitting that like button on those videos. Really thank you for that. Also join us over in Bitunix too, folks. It's the best exchange you could ever consider using. No KYC or VPN required. We use them as a community exclusively. So 4-hour time frame, we're good to go here. There's not much in the way of divergence except for the MACD and stochastic swinging down, and of course this channel that we're in currently. So we want to presume it being a weekend that the price will pull back, but I've already discussed with you the areas of consideration for retracement. Unlike other coins, this coin is still above the cloud. So that kind of reinforces support in this, this local high of 335 to 340 range, and the decent chance that we may pivot or bounce from here, because it's really common for previous high to be retested as a new low. So you kind of want to presume that'll happen until it doesn't. But once more, this is a weekend. I don't recommend trading on weekends. That's just my personal opinion. I've been trading for over 20 years, and I can tell you in crypto, weekend trading is generally disastrous and not necessarily the most optimal trading conditions. Because once more, lower volume gives you some false positives. Cool. All right, that's where we're at there. I appreciate you watching. I hope you learned something today. Why don't you comment below? Absolutely let us know where you're at with your SUI trades. And do you love this coin? Do you hate it? Has it been good to you? Has it been bad to you? If you got in the low 2s and upper 1s, like our community, you're probably doing pretty well and you're probably super happy. I am as well. Glad I averaged in at the low $2 range. All right, have a great rest day. We'll look forward to the next one. Thanks again so much for your support. Take care out there. Bye-bye.